Hey folks, MasakoX here. Now, there's been a question as to a certain incident with Gohan and Piccolo. The moment when Gohan saw Piccolo be felled by Frieza's blast in the Namek saga and he didn't, well, go Super Saiyan because of it. That has bugged the community for a very long time, especially since his father then went on to go and do that not long after Big Green had fallen down. However, I decided to take that up a notch, and instead of that moment, I went back to the first time this went down, back in the Saiyan saga. Had Gohan gone Super Saiyan in the Saiyan saga, well, it would have utterly wrecked the prince and his minions' plans, and there was no hope in stopping the young one. Unlike Gohan going wild like Broly though, this time, the power could be controlled more. But it was still very much a powder keg situation, to which Goku started to put a lot of faith into. Perhaps too much faith in some instances. But this could easily be a place for Gohan to gain more confidence with himself, in some ways though. In the last part though, Gohan had to come to terms that without realizing it, they had lost Piccolo as an ally. However, this wasn't down to the Namekian going bad or anything. It was all down to an accident that had happened during the fusion of Piccolo and Nail, and neither of them backing down, which then resulted in a whole new being born with their memories, but not with their personalities. This new Namekian, now dubbed the Namekian Savior by Guru and Mori, chose to remain on Namek and not come back to Earth, helping defend Namek against any potential invaders that may have tried something in the wake of Frieza's defeat. King Cole did have a go at trying to get revenge, and suffered for it. Namek had regained some sort of stature and reputation in the galaxy, but Gohan had lost a friend in the process. One last thing the Namekian gave Gohan though, a lingering thought from Piccolo in the aftermath of the fusion, was to keep training and do his teacher proud. Well, he did so. But this then led to an unexpected guest coming over for a spot of tea, and a whole lot of exposition dumping. And no, it's not Future Trunks. Let's resume. The young man sat on the couch and very much looked at home. It was odd. Gohan sat down next to him, but then realised that this person was in his spot. He asked the lad to move, and the lad frantically got up and apologised for his rude behaviour. Apologies, Gohan. I was on autopilot.
How do you know my name, mister?
The stranger then bonked again, and looked even more flustered than he already was. Gohan was starting to get a little suspicious.
Why are you here? I don't mean to be rude or anything, but we've been through a lot lately, and I can't take any chances.
Oh, I know you have, said the stranger with calmness, and then panicked again. Gohan was starting to get slightly nervous now. This person was talking in a weird manner, like he knew them, and yet he'd never seen this person before in his life, Gohan, but also he then felt familiar in a way he couldn't explain. It was starting to get a bit creepy. These ambivalent emotions were not helping in soothing Gohan.
Mom?
The man quickly told Gohan to be quiet, and he would explain everything. It had become clear that he had messed up. To be fair though, this was Gohan he was talking to. He wasn't exactly stupid. After all, he should know. Okay, I was hoping to tell your father this, but I think I put my foot in it already. Alright, since you're already sitting down and... He leaned to the doorway where Chi-Chi was busy making the tea and preparing some snacks. Good, she wasn't about to butt in. I come from... the future. Gohan's eyes lit up.
The future? How is that possible?
You see, it's quite simple, really. It all starts with connecting... Oh, wait, no, I'm getting distracted. As much as I'd love to explain the intricacies of the machine and how it works to you, I need to tell you first why I came here. The future man shifted a little bit to get more comfortable. I came here to warn you all about two powerful enemies that will arrive in 3 years' time. Beings that are far stronger than anything you have gone up against before now. Gohan was now listening to this man with every fibre of his being. Based on the kid's gut feeling, he could tell that this person was not making what he said up. There was a real sense of seriousness and sorrow in his every word. Like he despised even uttering said words, but he felt the duty to do so anyway. Androids, created by the terrifying Dr. Gero. They destroyed everything in their path, including Vegeta and, well, even Goku, before he barely had a chance to defend himself. This was bad news. His dad had been taken out, and from what this future person was telling him, Goku barely had a chance to do any fighting. It was like he'd been plucked out of the battlefield within seconds. Perhaps almost like they were going for him specifically. Then a thought occurred to Gohan.
Wait, what about me? Do I make it?
Well, you were looking at them. Future Gohan felt this was no time to be cryptic anymore. Besides, his past self would have probably figured it out eventually anyway. But you can't tell anyone else who I am. Not even Mom. Okay? Gohan nodded and asked his future self to continue. I'm the only one left. And it's all because of me that they're so strong. Based on what Bulma and I managed to deduce, Dr. Gero built those androids to get his revenge on my father for destroying the Red Ribbon Army when he was a kid. Yes, I am not the sole reason they came into existence, but their power is down to me. Becoming a Super Saiyan against Nappa. They knew when Mr. Piccolo died.
Mr. Piccolo? Wait, couldn't he have helped you?
I tried to contact him, but the heavens have gone dark. King Kai wouldn't respond to my pleas, and we lost the means to travel to Namek when the androids attacked West City. All our space exploration equipment was destroyed. I think this all goes off the collective thought, by the way. Why didn't King Kai provide some assistance? Or at least ask the Namekians to help Earth out in this moment of crisis? Seriously, he could have been a great help, but he didn't. It's all because of me that everyone died. I tried to seek strength, but my hands were tied in just trying to protect what was left of humanity from those monsters. I've had no time to really step up my training. They always had an answer to what little gains I could have made. I came here to at least try and fix the future. And perhaps yours too. Gohan nodded.
Of course! Thank you for telling me. What do you suggest?
Well, whatever training you do, it's best to do so off-world. Especially for you. If Gero discovered about Super Saiyan, who knows what other fixes he might have laying in wait for you. And when you do tell your father about this, remember, don't tell him who I am. Or otherwise it could cause time itself to bend in on itself, okay? Gohan complied, and with that, Chi-Chi came in with some tea and snacks, and Future Gohan simply couldn't say no. Besides, it had been the first time in years since he had had such indulgences and even some peace and quiet. This was the old days all over again, and he loved it, and yet loathed it. That it was all but a distant memory for him now, and he was reliving an echo of it. Future Gohan was able to dispel Chi-Chi's inquiries until Goku arrived, but this is when the lad chose to leave. Goku was confused why someone who had come to see him specifically was now going just after he had arrived. Gohan will explain everything. He'd do a better job than I could. I hope to see you again soon, my friend.
But you're just leaving.
I know, but time flies. The lad was gone, and the Son family were left to process this bizarre little interlude, and Goku listened to Gohan's words, the warning from this person. It all became clear then, but by the time Goku tried to sense and locate this future lad, he was already gone. Not a trace of his energy was left. Guess he really was from the future. After that, the plan was then relayed to the other fighters of Earth, and plans were set in motion to prepare for the android's arrival. Bulma did make a gravity chamber, but for Goku and Gohan this time, and anyone else who wanted to use it, instead of just for Vegeta. He would never get to use it, which meant others got to experience the gains that Goku and Gohan had done when they originally travelled to Namek. But Gohan's next mission was his most important. Contact Piccolo. He meant the Namekian savior, of course. After all, they had offered their assistance. Then Goku asked King Kai for any potentially useful training after a while that could maybe help them further in beating these androids, since Earth might not have been too secure for such things. King Kai then suggests something that could be neat. Yardrat. They were all about training their mind and whatnot, and Gohan's mind was pretty prodigious. It might have been a good match, he thought. Yes, I know that King Kai only knows about instant transmission in Yardrat and the filler, but we're working with the anime version of proceedings, the lore of there, so just roll with it. So the mission was on to get to Yardrat. Gohan asked the Namekian savior via King Kai if he would like to join them, but the Namekian was being non-committal in his response, saying that he might think about it. So when the Earth contingent left, it was Goku, Gohan, Krillin and Tenshinhan that headed out with them to do the training. Yamcha elected to stay behind with Bulma, and also elected to use the gravity chamber further on Earth to train. This then of course re-sparked their relationship. Heck, even Yajirobe tried out the chamber a little bit, out of curiosity. And of course, wanting to show off to Bulma and kick Yamcha's butt. When the group got to Yardrat a couple of months later, they were then told by King Kai to send the ship back to Earth on autopilot. Gohan was perplexed as to why they would do that. They'd need it to return.
Now trust me, if this goes well, you won't need to use a spaceship ever again. That's all I'm saying.
He chuckled to himself before leaving the Dragon team to try and figure out the rest of it for themselves. They set the ship to head for home, like they were instructed, and waited. And wouldn't you know it, the Namekian savior did turn up, but the savior's rationale for coming here was primarily securing further gains for his home planet, to better defend it, not for sentimentality. However, he did reiterate his promise to provide assistance to Earth should they need it, should the androids get a little too much for them. Gohan, he took this. Even at this early stage also, he had done at least something positive to change the future. The Namekians were now aware of their future potential need for help. They were on standby. The training under the watch of Master Bibara was very productive. It soon became clear what training King Kai had meant that would no longer require them to use a spaceship. Instant transmission. Within a few months of starting, they had all managed to gain the basics of it, with the Namekian and Tenshinhan being the most adept at acquiring it, and the fastest. Tenshinhan felt very good at this news. It had been a long time since he had been able to better Goku at something. Perhaps this place wasn't so bad. Maybe this was a place in fact he could bring Chaozu when this was all said and done, and they could stay here for longer. The group were then pleased to see Goku finally master Super Saiyan for himself, having lusted for it for so long. And Gohan was pleased to also see that his father could use the power and that they could actually kick up their personal training a little bit, be a little more rigorous. In that time, Gohan had also discovered that the Super Saiyan form itself had more to give, and he had also unearthed what would later become full power Super Saiyan, all thanks to the power of the Yardratian focus training. Goku had managed to catch up quickly and got to grade 2 Super Saiyan before the pre-agreed time for them to return to Earth came, before the androids were supposedly meant to strike. The Namekian, who had been jumping in and out of this training thanks to instant transmission, because he could check on Namek, wished the group luck and reminded them to transmit to Namek should they need to sound the alarm, and he'd be coming immediately. With that, the groups parted ways and prepared for the attack. But wait, what about Vegeta, I hear you ask? Had he been able to figure out Super Saiyan for himself? Well, yes he did. He did it in the original, but it took a little longer here, since he didn't have the gravity chamber for a while. That is until the Earth ship showed up one day. Dr. Brice had wondered why it hadn't come back yet. Gohan said it would come back empty because it was on autopilot, they didn't need it anymore. But chalked that up to a meteorite maybe breaching the hull perhaps, because it had gone out of range. But no, Vegeta had acquired it for himself, having discovered it one day, and he loved this.
Ha! Deny me my training apparatus, woman. I'll show you. I'll become the legendary Super Saiyan and waste you all. I don't care how I got this ship. I will beat that brat into submission.
Oh, Vegeta, you have no idea of what the others had garnered, have you? Nevertheless, he vowed to go to Earth one day and get his pride healed, starting with that Earth woman. When the quartet made it back to Earth, they were both pleased to see and astonished to see two things. First, Yamcha and Yajirobe had been training together in the gravity chamber and had become quite good friends in the interim. And also Yajirobe was doing something. But on top of all of this, Yamcha and Bulma had gotten married and had a kid, named Trunks. The boy was now 2 years old, in fact. In fact, they'd only found out when the toddler had wandered out of the Capture Corp door ahead of his parent that he existed. His black hair and yet softer eyes looked like a combination of Yamcha and Bulma's features. And that was shortly confirmed by the pair, and Chaozu was excited with the prospect of maybe going to Yardrat in the short term, soon to enhance his telekinesis. But that being said, they had to remind themselves of their initial mission: stop the androids. And so, on the morning of May 12th, 30 minutes before the allotted strike time, the entire group arrived on Emembo Island and awaited possible movements. Bulma had been surveying Jiro's reported base of operations since they left outside of North City, but she hadn't seen anything in all those years. The door had not been opened in all that time. There had been no signs of movement anywhere. Really strange. Not even in the morning of the attack. Had the future boy been wrong then? Well, despite Bulma's due diligence, no, he hadn't been wrong. On the dot, An explosion rocked Membo Island, and the gang tried to sense for culprits, but they couldn't. Despite their best efforts, they couldn't sense androids since they didn't pump out energy. That fact hadn't been relayed by their future counterpart. It had become clear that he had missed out on a couple of other things too. So they had to do it the old-fashioned way and smoke the baddies out. Now, does all the gains that the crew have undergone provide any sort of aid or benefit? Well, yes. First of all, Yamcha isn't as badly overwhelmed by Jiro in this timeline, and he doesn't get a hole in the chest. But he still can't win against him solo. It takes Yamcha's battling ki to bring the others to the fight to help him. And the fight is very one-sided, at least briefly. Gohan powers up to full power Super Saiyan, keen to do what the future boy said to do, and he then dominates against the old man. Goku is amazed at the gains that his son had undergone, but then feels a strange tightness in his chest. He doesn't feel so good. Krillin notices this and sees Goku looking a little tired. You alright, pal? You look a little pale. Goku can't understand why he's feeling this way. Felt weird. Then his heart pounded like a jackhammer, and he let out an audible wail. Gohan turned around to see his father clearly having a heart attack. What? His future self hadn't warned him about that? Well, there might be a reason why he hadn't. You'll have to wait to find out, as that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. If you like this idea about Gohan's potential being explored, check out the parallel story here, where he becomes the legendary Super Saiyan. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!